Thank you everyone for coming and for patiently sitting through the projection. We didn't have a chance to test it out. I would request you to go back home and watch it on YouTube once clearly. It's a film made with a lot of love. And just to correct, I haven't directed the film. It's directed by Lakshmi Iyer, a wonderful young director, but I'm the producer and the writer of the film. And thank you, Subodh, for doing this. It means a lot.
Yeah. So I think you can lead the conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
Relationship between Apurva and his father, because I have not only met them together, but also seen a lot of videos of both of them singing together. And that really touched me. The film moved me also because it reminded me about my father. I have a very special relationship with my father, and I think many of you would have had the same kind of a feeling when you watched this film. So now you could.
Yeah, I think the film was born out of, I lost my father 3 years ago, and I realized that after I lost him, that, I mean, even during when he was, during the last few months of his life, that there were many misunderstandings between us. There were hopes and aspirations he had from me that maybe I didn't fulfill. There were expectations from him that maybe he didn't fulfill. And there's a line in the film that says कि हम बाप बेटा बनना भूल गए, बाप बेटे दोस्त बनना भूल गए, बाप बेटे वाले उम्मीदों में ही उलझे रहे. And I realize more and more as I talk to people that this is not unique. I think as we all grow up trying to establish our own identity and say that, I'm my own person. I'm not you, Dad. I'm not you, Mom. And it's just to establish that sometimes there is a little bit of a distance that comes between parent and child. And I feel that after he passed away, I realized there's so many things that he did for me that I kind of took for granted. I felt, well, he's my dad, he owes it to me. But as you grow older, you realize that nobody owes you anything. If someone he cares for you and makes these silent sacrifices for you, that gratitude is very, very important. So this film is mainly for that to resonate with other people who I felt had very similar experiences. What about you, Mr. Kerkar?
Well, I have had a very, very wonderful childhood with my father. Actually, from the age of 6 to 16, my father was more or less my only teacher. And we used to live in small villages, Pedne, Kiri, Mandre. And I would walk with my father every day for 2 hours. And those 2 hours of walk on the seaside, on the riverside, in the fields, in the hills, was actually my real education. And there is a huge sort of paradox. My father was a very timid man, and he made me very bold. My father was always depressed, and he made me a sort of a joyful boy. My father had no ambitions, and he instilled a lot of ambitions with me. So, it is very interesting that you can give something you don't have. So that's what basically happened with me. My father actually is responsible for what I am. And when he passed away, I did a very small installation as a tribute to him. I printed 500 paint portraits of him, small portraits on simple paper, pasted them on some boards, and we placed this 500 paint portraits of my father everywhere we walked. I placed them on the seaside, I placed them on the riverside, under the favorite banyan tree under which we used to very often sit in the fields, and that was a kind of a tribute I gave to my father.
That was beautiful. Every time, so my father loved to sing. He was a big Kishore Kumar, R.D. Burman fan. And we lived in a household where sometimes if we couldn't talk things out, we would sing things out. So my dad would hook up the karaoke mic, and he would sing a song and encourage me to sing, then correct me where I went wrong. You know, my mom would cook up a nice meal, and then she would sing, and my brother would sing. So my friends and I still get together, and my dad was named Manu, is named Manu. Yeah. So they would say, if this is for Manu, everyone will raise a glass, my friends, and we will continue to sing. So he lives on through his music.
Mm-hmm.
And he loved a lot of very good cinema, world cinema. So as a child also, he made me watch very good films, and he would sit down and discuss these films with me, discuss the characters, discuss the writing, tell me what editing is, tell me. And, you know, I owe so much of my life, my career, my filmography to my father's sensibility, to his training. I think they live on through us, don't they?
Absolutely, absolutely. I remember, we used to stay in a chawl, and then outside. This was not a chawl like a Bombay chawl. This was a beautiful chawl. It was in the coconut grove, row houses in a coconut grove in Navilim near Margao, where the new library is. And there were fields all around. And every evening, we would go, he would put his Aram Khurchi in the fields. I would carry it. And then he would make me read to him all the classics. So I read, especially children's books, Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, The Count of Monte Cristo. All this I read to him in those fields. And so that's why when I went to Marathi medium schools, and though I went to Marathi medium schools, I was able to read English very fine because my father spent so much of time on me. Not only that, he wrote a book just to teach me English. He wrote a book which was called Subodh Ingreji Lekhan. Because I was in Marathi medium school, he wrote this book, and I would sort of recite compositions of English sentences. So that's why until the 8th standard I was in Marathi medium school. And 9th and 10th, I went to English medium school. And in spite of that, I stood 7th in the board. So that change of medium made no difference thanks to my father.
It was beautiful. What about the film? I remember when you saw it, you texted me, you said I was very moved.
Yeah.
What was your connection to the film?
Basically, I would move because it was a very genuine, sincere sort of story for a relationship between father and son. And that's what moved me. The differences in dreams and all this is there in every generation. So it is not, for example, when I gave up my medicine and decided to become an artist, my father was devastated. He did not like the idea. He said, okay, why are you giving up medicine? You have a very good practice. Why are you becoming an artist? But at the same time, he had also taught me art. And he had developed, actually, the love for art came from him. So, and then these differences will always be there, I think. But at the same time, you cannot sort of forget the sacrifices. My father was a school teacher. And the school teachers' salaries in the 80s and 70s were very bad. My father's retirement salary must have been 1,500 rupees. And so he was wondering, how am I going to educate my boys? And so we were living at that time in Mandre. First we were in Keri, which is extreme northern tip. Then we came to Mandre. And then slowly he started changing jobs so that we could get educated. And he started moving towards Panjim. The only objective of changing those jobs was so that we go to college. And so the last job he had was in Vere. And those days we used to come on a bicycle from Vere to the MP college here. So all his, everything he did was basically for the education of his children, me, my brother and my sister. It's very similar. So for me, I could very much resonate. And he didn't know how, and I was a very good student, so getting admission in any college was not a difficulty for me because I was 7th in the board. But his problem was how he's going to fund my education. So when I was in 12th standard, he started writing letters to all kind of organizations for scholarship for me. Goa Hindu Association. There were many philanthropic organizations, and he must have spent the whole year writing letters to collect money for my education. But luckily, what happened was the moment I answered my 12th standard exams, I went with a bunch of cartoons I had done to the editor of Navin Times in Panjim, and he appointed me on the day I finished my 12th standard exam. And over the few months, I started earning better than my father. And so I could fund my own education from the age of 18. And then he returned all the money which had come. He made it a point to return every pie where he had borrowed.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So this is why I could very much connect with your film. And that's why perhaps I must have spoken about my father too, maybe in the past. I don't know. Yeah.
That's what we're hoping. I mean, we're hoping with this film that people are emotionally able to connect somewhere. And so many of people I know are writing to me saying that they sent the film to their father, or a father sent the film to their child.
Yeah.
And that's why it's on YouTube. It's something that's very easy to share as a communication.
Yeah.
It's not too long. It's of a decent duration. We got some really good actors.
Yeah, they were very well acted.
Yeah, we couldn't see much
And
of
your
that.
dialogues were fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Does anybody in the audience have any questions or anything you want to say about the film? Great. It always takes one. When we start with one, somebody else does also.
Doesn't matter. I have a loud voice.
Activist.
Yeah.
So the film resonates for me also with regard to my own father. The differences, the recognition, the silent sacrifices, all that. But I just thought that your film there also talks about the mother and all that she does in a very, very subtle way. When the child is saying this item, everything, clothes, this, that. But now in your discussion, both of you didn't think of the mother. So I thought that's a gap that we need to plug. You have plugged it in the film.
Thank you.
But still in your discussions, again it went back to the...
Thank you for bringing the mother into it. And in fact, I have always written very either female, women-oriented stories. So I wrote this show which is on Disney Hotstar called Criminal Justice Behind Closed Doors, which is not only about a woman, Kirti Kulhari, who is on trial for killing her husband, and we wonder why. What happened between them. But it's about a whole ecosystem of women, including the police officer, including the lawyer, and all of those who are forced to reflect about their own domestic situations and what is the place that they are demanding from society. What is the place that they're given, in quotes, and how they wake up to the fact that, it doesn't have to be a man's world. There's a film I wrote with Kangana Ranaut called Simran, which is about, again, a woman who is, she's a divorcee in her 30s, and how she navigates life, makes many mistakes. But my dad would always, because I love my mom a lot, she's made a lot of sacrifices for me. So I've started my career doing that. But my dad, after Criminal Justice, he said to me, it's beautiful, Apu, but what about the men? Why doesn't anyone want to talk about the men? I said, for generations it's been about the men. Why should it always be about the men and stuff? And he said, well, at the end of the day, it's not gender. It's a heart beating. And, we have to, for a happy or healthy household, both hearts need to be happy and healthy. And which is why after he passed, that I wrote this film. And I wish he had seen it. My mom saw it, and my mom was most proud, So Leela's character, Kalyani Mule, who's a wonderful actress. I mean, she's a great theatre actor. She's done some incredible work. She loved the part because she said she's a feminist, very, very staunch feminist. So when I sent her the part, I thought she would get very like, okay, oh, it's all about the men. What about me? And she loved it. And she said, my most favorite line in the film is when the mother says, कि वो काम संभालते मैं घर संभालती हूँ. Simple division. And she said that after going through all of this in life, where I have really wanted, my own place, in society, today I understand that it does take a partnership between two, to run the house, to look after the house. So she's a very strong character, a very silent character. She holds everything together. And for the boy also, he's most hurt by what has happened to his mother, which is why he's not forgiven the father. Which is why he asked the neighbor, what about that lady, Mrs. Fernandez? What happened there? So she actually is the reason why he has not been able to truly connect with his father. It's been a barrier because he didn't like the way she was treated. But when he understands that, they had a wonderful partnership and he saw her through till the end when nobody else was there. This boy who's holding on to this was not there day in and day out like the father was, seeing her through. So that marriage was something special. So he understands that. But thank you for your question. Anybody else? Yes, sorry there.
Yeah. So, firstly, and that was a really heartfelt film, so you are happy. So the character in the film, the main character, realizes these things about his father, the sacrifices that he makes much later in life, when he reaches the age that his father was when he was a kid. And may have some regrets about his father. So, what advice would you give to people who are on the younger side, maybe the age that his character was in, so that he does not have as many regrets as he has as an adult?
Thank you for that question. I'll give you the son's perspective and I'll request Ms. Subodh to give you the father's perspective on this. I think we should just talk. Actually, that's the hashtag of the film, which is talk to him. I think it's not about him or her anymore. I think communication is key. And sometimes we're all very comfortable not talking things out. It's just safer. So we just bury things and let them slide. But I think communication, insisting on talking things out, something that you felt, talking, hopefully the father holds space for you to be able to say it. And even if he doesn't, I think it's your responsibility to reach out while you have the chance. Regrets won't be there if you've done your bit. And they're human, yeah. I mean, we are all human. We are going to make mistakes. They are going to make mistakes. We have to take them off that pedestal and look at them as human beings who care for us. And once we do that, and once we start relating to them as human beings, I think a lot of these expectations will. Now to the father's perspective, or to the son, whichever one you would like to choose.
No, I think I basically rhyme with what you just said. I think communication is most important between two individuals. Otherwise, there are more and more misunderstandings and then the grudges which are just put under the carpet. So the communication is most important. And actually, we live in the times of the height of communication. In the sense, the mobile phone is there with everybody today. And one of my friends, Ashok Vajpayee, the great poet, he says, what is happening in the world today is samvada rati. Meaning we talk, but what do we talk? Because there is all the time talking happening, But in spite of that, the example he gives is that kind of terror and kind of violence which is happening in the world is because of lack of communication. Because if there is no communication, not just between father and son, lack of communication between religions, between groups, between countries, between communities, if we don't have communication, then violence happens. And this is true also in personal life. So I think communication is the most important thing, to talk.
It's wonderful what you said. I want to add to this, Subodh. I recently gave an interview and somebody told me about in the times of where Dhurandhar is being made and Ikkis and all these war films where there's so much violence on screen, why would anybody be interested in a soft, vulnerable film like this? I said, the reason why the world is at war, I think, I'm not providing a solution to war. I don't have the know-how. But the reason why I think there is so much conflict, primarily between men, is because boys didn't learn how to talk to their fathers and fathers didn't learn how to talk to their boys. So the authority, these figures of authority are no longer, we haven't learned how to communicate with authority. We haven't learned to befriend it. We haven't learned to transform it. And if fathers and sons became friends, I don't think boys would go out there and be so threatened or in conflict with other boys, and maybe so that vulnerability is key, I feel.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And the film did its job, I think, because ultimately, the most important purpose of art is to make the local universal. Anything local, art makes it universal. Anything personal, art makes it public. And you have succeeded in making this feeling between father and son, which is very private, made it public.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Mr. Kerkar. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.